Once upon a time, there were 3 little T's: talents, treasures, and time, better known as TT&T. Now, TT&T attended the local church, and each week they would hear the church people say, "We can go farther together. We can go farther together." Well, TT&T were eager to see the church go farther together, reaching the lost, feeding the hungry, helping the poor, growing in faith and service. But as church committees met, and budgets were worked and reworked, and strategies were reviewed, the church did not go farther. Not willing to stand back any longer, TT&T knocked boldly and loudly on the church's doors. Enough is enough. Talent, treasure, and time will help the church go farther. Stand back and watch. Now, talent loved to be out in front of a crowd and immediately said to treasure and time, "I am by far the most important T. The church would not exist if it weren't for me. Step back and watch me do my thing. Talent will help the church go farther." So talent huffed and puffed, pulled and pushed, but the church did not go farther. Not to be defeated, talent huffed and puffed harder and pulled and pushed harder, but the church did not go farther. Now, treasure immediately started dancing a victory jig and rudely singing, "Ha ha ha ha." Treasure proclaimed all, "Treasure is by far the most important T. The church would be nothing if it were not for treasure. Step back and watch treasure work." So treasure huffed and puffed, pulled and pushed, but the church did not go farther. Not to be defeated, treasure huffed and puffed harder and pulled and pushed harder, but the church did not go farther. And treasure hung his head in shame and despair. Any further delay, time stood tall and said, "Time is by far the most important T. What good are talents and treasures without time? Time will move the church farther. Move out of the way and let time do what only time can do." So time huffed and puffed and pulled and pushed, but the church did not go farther. Not to be defeated, time huffed and puffed harder and harder, pulled and pushed harder and harder, but the church did not go farther. And time hung his head in shame and despair. It was a very sad day in the life of the church. All heads hung low, until suddenly one could hear a very slight but very distinct sound. The sound became louder and louder and louder, and everyone could hear it. "Together, together, we can go farther together." Talent said, "Talents alone cannot help the church go farther." That again. Treasure said, "Treasures alone cannot help the church go farther." Time said, "Time alone cannot help the church go farther." Armed with new understanding, talent, treasure, and time surrounded the church. Those who worked endlessly on committees, budgets, and strategies surrounded the church, and one by one you heard them say, "We can go farther together. We can go farther together. We can go farther together." And that is just what happened. The church began that day to go farther and farther and farther, reaching the lost, feeding the hungry, helping the poor, growing in faith and service. It was a very good day in the life of the church.